LIEnette and Crook are being accused from stealing from Walmart. Why is it these two have a problem literally everywhere they go in their life? They can't even go into Walmart without creating problems. Now, I've said in the past, when you have money, there's always a problem out there waiting for you, somebody trying to take your money from you. That's the problem that stalked me and followed me to Otter Creek. And there have been others. There are individuals online always trying to make money off of my name, my image, my content, my videos, my intellectual property. They're all problems because they are thieves. And now LIEnette has been found to be a thief at Walmart as well. She's talking to the mole, and this is a lengthy one, but let's just roll with it. She says they retaliated. He went in and asked why his water bill was messed up. Now, I gotta kind of set the stage for you here. What she's addressing right now with the mole is there's an individual who has actually been trespassed from town hall. And yes, you can trespass somebody from a public building. Now, LIEnette thinks she's some kind of legal expert. She's a counselor. She's a lawyer. Let's not forget, she's also a firefighter. Oh, yeah. Her highest accolade, a rescuer of turtles and tortoise. I think not. But she was going on to say that this individual went in to ask why his water bill was messed up and why town hall was closed for 5 months. Now, let's keep in mind, this isn't about me. Not me at all. LIEnette is talking about somebody else who was not only drunk, but irate with Belinda in town hall. And then she goes on to say, as for a records request, she argued with him and told him to leave. Now, this individual who went in is actually in his 60s, and he was a part-time resident of Otter Creek, but now a full-time resident of Otter Creek, and he is another runk. You would say he could hang out with the likes of Crook and Russ the Sus anytime, and they could all have a competition to see who could rink the most. But he came in belligerent inside town hall, making threats, accusations. Levy County Sheriff was contacted, and it was resolved with a no trespass order. You come in runk and belligerent into a public building, I can guarantee you'll be trespassed. How about all these homeless that go into public buildings such as libraries? Now, I don't know where you're from, but where I'm from, individuals will do that all the time during the winter up north in Ohio. And then the local police will come and trespass them from those actual buildings because usually they're drunk. Okay. But LIEnette goes on to say, because she's a genius. Oh man, she's so smart. Now remember, she's representing herself in court. She says, you can't trespass from a public building. Yeah, you can. And then she goes on to say, she says, from a public place. And I guess the sheriff doesn't know the law. This is pretty ironic, considering the sheriff has yet to arrest John Crook, her paramour, who's not only pulled out a pew-pew boomstick on Chad, myself, an 8-year-old, and who knows how many others that this actually hasn't been reported yet. Yeah, well, I would like to say debunked on LIEnette, saying that apparently the sheriff doesn't know the law, but I'm actually gonna have to hold my tongue on that, because the sheriff has done nothing to them thus far. Not to mention, hasn't done anything when they've been found guilty from day one, stalking us to the actual sheriff department. What did the sheriff do? Didn't arrest them. What did Florida courts do? Nothing. What did Ohio do? Found them guilty for violating 500-foot protection order. Oh, but she knows everything about the law. All right, you can't trespass from a public place, and I guess the sheriff doesn't know the law. These are her words, not mine, right above my finger. Yep. By the way there, Sheriff. LIEnette's your biggest fan. Okay, doesn't know the law. Punta Gorda. Now, if you don't know what Punta Gorda is a place in Florida. Punta Gorda tried the same thing and trespassed a guy. And he filed a lawsuit. And he won. So much hurt. And this is the strangest portion of this rant right here. This psychotic rant. Then she goes on, you can see the so much hurt. And then she goes on, we're being accused of stealing at Walmart. Yeah. For once, she's not saying it's me accusing her, which is interesting. Now, I've said it, I'll just share with you again. Where there's money, there's somebody always trying to take it, okay? Online, happens all the time. Physically, one-on-one, you're seeing it in Otter Creek. But the other reality, where there's no money, there's always somebody trying to steal as well. She has no money. And so she says, we're being accused of stealing at Walmart. We know who did it. And we spoke to a manager today. I'm done being bullied. So Walmart is now bullying LIEnette? Here we go again. I mean, the insanity of these individuals who steal and then claim that they're some kind of victim. So here's LIEnette. She's stealing from Walmart. She's being accused, in her words, of stealing from Walmart. And now, in her words, she's being bullied by them. She's a victim. And we've heard this over and over again. We see this online all the time. They steal our videos. They steal our audio. This is intellectual property theft. This is the same as going into Walmart, pulling a Gatorade off of the shelf, drinking it, and then leaving without paying. It's theft. It's punishable by law. And then what do they do? When YouTube strikes them and takes it down, they cry. I'm a victim. I'm a victim. You're a freaking thief. When I said that, were you all thinking the same thing I was? When LIEnette said in her deposition, it's a freaking free tablet. The most ironic part of all of theft on YouTube and online, the actual platform, YouTube, goes in and identifies theft of content and deletes it. We don't have to do anything, but somehow people want to keep crying that they're the victim of us. Just like LIEnette is deleting things and then crying she's a victim. As a matter of fact, the mole says, hey, what did you just delete? Right there. Remember, LIEnette's been deleting a lot of stuff because Silver Scam told her no more conversations. So then she's having a conversation and deleting it, having a conversation and deleting it, knowing that it will actually incriminate her. So the mole says, so what did you delete? So if it comes up, I can help you. And she says, LIEnette, it wasn't important. I'm too busy today. Right there. She deletes it. It wasn't important. I'm too busy today. Sorry. And then she says, what family are you possibly talking about? No one lived on my property. Okay. Oh my goodness. Can we together on 3? 1, 2, 3, debunked? All right. We just did it. Not to mention that even currently right now, she has Lloyd living illegally on the property. She has Landon illegally on the property, Landon's boy toy illegally on the property, and it's illegal because of the living conditions. In other words, there is no home. It's illegal. Okay, but in this conversation, this is all about Brian, who was actually helping George and I remodel the schoolhouse. That was what he was hired for. And we had to pull back on that as we attempted to, well, we've already gone into that. And then she goes on, the mole says, no, it wasn't your property. It was someone working for Jeremy and he had to let them go. Now, we already know I had to let Brian go because we had to stop all remodeling, everything that we budgeted for remodeling. So not only have they hurt the, Not only have they hurt Brian for lack of income, which now he's married and he moved to California, but then they hurt the entire county where the building could be better used for the entire county. Whether it's now we're in hurricane season, which we used it last year for hurricane protection for the residents of Otter Creek. We use it for the entire county for Christmas in the creek. So LIEnette and Crook's path of destruction, their wake of horrificness, it impacts everybody in this area. Everybody. It's hurting everybody. And so the funny thing is LIEnette goes on to say, I can't continue to be hurt this way. So she goes out of her way to make defamatory Facebook pages. She goes out of her way to make defamatory comments about anybody and everybody on these Facebook pages. Her and Crook have made defamatory signs about Russ the Sus, Mary, Stewart, Attorney Worm, and, as we all know, me. Remember, LIEnette wanted to see them all, as if she didn't see them already. And we did. We showed them. So LIEnette goes on to say, I can't continue being hurt like this. We've done nothing wrong. We've done nothing. Even though the Ohio courts have found us guilty over and over again. And I have to go to Ohio court again on July 19th because I keep breaking the civil protection orders. They're fraudulent, I tell you. We've done nothing wrong. That's odd because the courts seem to differ there. We are not breaking orders. Yeah, she said it. We're not breaking orders. Except her and Crook have both been found guilty of breaking orders. We are going about our daily lives, working on our house. Come on. Debunked. There is nothing going on with that. Remember, she just told Levy County Sheriff they can't even afford their next meal, but they're working on their house? Okay. Oh, yeah, they are. Okay, and she says, and caring for my child. We don't let others live in our heads. Really? Because how many times has LIEnette blocked the mole, then unblocked the mole, then blocked the mole, and then unblocked the mole, and then blocked the mole, and then unblocked the mole, and then blocked the mole, and then unblocked the mole? But she doesn't let anybody live in her heads. No, but she lets a lot of drug dealers and rug addicts live on the property. I mean, it's a turning, burn and turn. That's what happens over it. And literally, they're burning. Okay. She says, we don't let others live in our heads. We're busy with medical appointments and homeschooling. Really? Homeschooling. 9:24 a.m. Most kids would be in school, right? But she's busy with homeschooling. As she's talked to texting all of these messages. As she's talked to texting a ton of people. As a matter of fact, we just got sent a message yesterday about the entire, the pew-pew incident. She's in the middle of the night talk to texting, in the beginning of the day, in mid-afternoon, in lunchtime, you name it. She's constantly doing this. There is no homeschooling going on. You know it. I know it. There's been no proof shown of it whatsoever. Now, there has been the aspect that she will literally put this child on a tablet and give her melatonin throughout the day because she can't handle this high special needs child. It's a normal child. All right, so we're busy with medical appointments, homeschooling. Please understand that. Please understand everything I'm sharing here is my opinion, based with facts. And then she goes on to say, have a blessed day. Mine's gonna shine today, baby. She's gonna shine. Shine bright like a diamond. LIEnette is so busy homeschooling that at 2:19 p.m. in the afternoon, when any child would be in school, she's now talked to texting about her text messages to her biological daughter when she says she's going to unalive herself. Yes. And now LIEnette needs to somehow justify all of this, what she said. You understand that a narcissist, okay, first of all, the term narcissist is thrown out around a lot, okay? Narcissist has no empathy for anybody else, okay? Narcissist wants everything from everybody else, all right? Normal people just want to be left alone. And so a narcissist will actually use the threats of unaliving themselves to get the attention that they desire. And that's exactly what LIEnette did with her daughter. Now, I'm not going to show those text messages again. We've done an entire episode on those text messages. And yes, her biological daughter will be there to testify against her, along with the mole, along with so many others in Otter Creek. Hey, I wouldn't be shocked if John Crook isn't there testifying against her. So now, Monday at 2:19 p.m., she's stating, that message they're using, it's only part of a huge message. Well, of course it's a huge message. This woman doesn't know how not to do huge messages. She doesn't even know how to use punctuation, grammar, syntax. All right, so that message is only part of a huge message between my daughter and I. They're only showing that part. They're not showing what she's saying to me. And it was sarcastic. Debunked. We actually did show the full conversation between her and her daughter as her daughter sent it all to us. Keep in mind, we have never, ever approached anybody for any information from or to or with LIEnette and Crook. Everybody has approached us. Every family member, every past acquaintance, everybody in Northport who's so thrilled they're gone and doesn't ever want them back. Everybody in Otter Creek. It goes on and on and on. They have reached out to us. We have never, ever asked anybody for anything. We have never, ever approached anybody for anything. Even her grandson, Landon, who's right now in his bare feet in the poop, probably getting ringworm, has even approached us. So she goes on to say that was just a small part. You didn't even show everything. Yeah, we did. We showed everything. So they're not showing what she was saying to me. Oh my goodness. Does the victim ease ever end? You didn't see what she said to me, so therefore I can say whatever I want back. Oh, okay. Well, another human being is a bad human being. Therefore, that gives you the right to be a bad human being back. Stupid. That's what that is. Stupid. You get to choose every day. Do you want to do the right thing? Do you want to do the wrong thing? So many choose to do the wrong thing, such as LIEnette in Walmart, such as others online. The list could go on and on. She was she was saying to me, and I was being sarcastic. It's one of those things. Oh, here we go. There you go. There's your Otter Creek minister breaking one of the 10 Commandments again, using the Lord's name in vain. That minister, ordained minister license, is paying off big dividends. Okay. OMG. It was one of those things. I've done everything in the world I can for you. What the HE double hockey stick. Remember, this is 2 p.m, right in front of the child, who's supposed to be homeschooled right now, per LIEnette's own words. But she's hearing LIEnette say OMG, which I get. Some of you guys in your home, that's okay. It wasn't ever in my home. And I get some of you guys would say HE double hockey stick, and we never did in my home, which is why I came up with what the Hales instead of what the HE double hockey stick. So now I'm not saying, by all means, I'm not saying I've never used foul language. There are times where I've used foul language, and it's not appropriate. And then I have to be remorseful, and I have to deal with the things when I use inappropriate language. The other side of that is a word is just a word. You take that word anywhere else, it means nothing. But in our culture, here, these words are inappropriate for children. I think probably 95% of us would agree upon that. But here we are. We got it. It's all being said in front of her. I've done everything in the world I can for you. What the HE double hockey stick else do you want me to do? It was all sarcastic. My daughter is mentally ill. Oh my goodness. Excuse me? Okay, this is what we call projection, all right? So I'm sure you understand what projection is. Narcissists will use it a lot. And you go, Jeremy, how do you know so much about this? Well, I was in full-time counseling for quite a few years, decades in my full-time vocational job before I said, you know what, I'm going to be fun employed. And then I started doing YouTube just for fun as well. And so this is projecting, when you have a problem and then you start projecting it onto somebody else. Now, this is seen a lot online, a lot, especially when somebody gets called out on their own garbage in their life, and then they want to play victim, and then they want to project. And this is what LIEnette is doing right now. Her daughter's now mentally ill. Okay, so here's what we know so far to be true. We know that her mother has been diagnosed with Munchausen by proxy. That's a fact. We know that LIEnette has been ostracized by her entire family. Nobody wants anything to do with her. Therefore, she created a Facebook group because, hey, what do we do in our culture today? When we're offended, you hurt my feelings. Jeremy said something I don't like. I'm going to create a Facebook group. Oh my goodness. Can you be any more childish? Grow up. Well, LIEnette did that. She created a Facebook group anti her family. It is about alienation, family alienation, anti-family alienation, which is child abuse. But it's all about her family. So here we have her in this culture today, which, my goodness, man, what has happened to our culture? The ridiculous of it. The ridiculous, downright ridiculousness of it. All the way from the kids to the elder. I mean, this is just ridiculous. How sensitive can you be? Grow up. But no, we got to create Facebook pages. And so she's already bashing her entire family for alienation. Keep in mind, her own daughter got an injunction against her to keep her away from her children. Her own children are going to be testifying against her in court. And we know mom was diagnosed mental illness. Now LIEnette is saying that her daughter, her biological daughter, is mentally ill. Oh, gee, I wonder what would do such a thing like that. Maybe saying, I prayed for 30 years for a daughter. God finally gave me a daughter. Talking about the child that isn't even her own biological child. You think her daughter may be messed up in the head? I don't doubt it at all. Look what LIEnette has done to these people. She has traumatized them and destroyed them mentally. So what does that say? Now, if we could see that mom and then LIEnette and then daughter, but LIEnette's saying mom and daughter both have mental illness, somehow it just jumped over LIEnette. Okay, so you got these bookends there. LIEnette's in the middle and nothing happened to her. No, she's perfectly okay. Debunked. She goes on to say that her daughter is mentally ill from all the rugs. That's interesting. Because LIEnette has said in court that she's never had any rug addicts on her property. But here she says her daughter's mentally ill from the rugs. She's seeing things. She hears things. She thinks things happen to her that don't. Who does this sound like? Yeah, LIEnette. Oh, and who was living in the shed illegally? Her daughter. The real Michelle Preston. You know, sometimes I feel like Mr. Rogers never adequately prepared me for my neighbors. It's quite often not a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Well, it is at Hale's headquarters. Every day is beautiful here. I absolutely love it. And I have a tremendous community here that surrounds us and supports us, and that we are supportive of them as well. And there is a tremendous community of support in Otter Creek. But, you know, remember Mr. Rogers used to go, all right, let's go to make-believe. Let's go in the make-believe land. I feel like that's LIEnette. You know, she's got this make-believe driveway. She's got this make-believe tortoise rescue, turtle rescue. She's got this make-believe everything, including the house. Yeah, that's the make-believe house. Keep in mind, Mr. McFeely could come down the road at any time knocking on the door. That door would be make-believe as well. Why? Because of the rugs. And she goes on to say, she's mentally ill from the rugs. She sees things, she hears things, she thinks things happen to her that don't. She blames me for, here it is. She blames me for, you can read it, I'm not going to say it. Let me back it back up here. There are some things that are okay to say on YouTube, and there are some things that are not, which is why we say pew pew or boomstick or other things like that. And it is YouTube's rules, YouTube's platform, so we abide by them like a normal smart person would. We don't steal people's content. We don't steal their videos. We don't steal their audio. And then we don't cry. You know why? Because we do the right thing. So she goes on here to say she blames, her daughter is blaming LIEnette for child, we'll just call it traffic, child traffic. And she blames me for that. She thinks she saw someone, she thinks, man, this is so hard to decipher sometimes. She thinks she saw in someone's basement in Des Moines, Iowa, where I haven't been in years. I have not been in Des Moines, Iowa in over 11 years. She thinks her children's father is still alive when he's unalive. Now, if you can make any sense of this, I mean, have at it. He was unalived in Des Moines, and the child, jeez, how do you even make, this thing is so freaking long. The child is very, very, she's saying this about her own child. The child is very, very mentally ill. And yeah, her daughter is watching. The whole family is. And so the child is very, very mentally ill. Now, if that's the child, what's the mother? Who did this to the child? All right. I mean, I've just got to ask the question. So the child is very, very mentally ill. And so that was totally a sarcastic remark. The remark to her biological daughter, stating that she would unalive herself if her daughter wouldn't have a relationship with her and would work with us and help us with all of these things. And so she goes, well, I'll just go unalive myself then. And so then now LIEnette's talking about us. That was a totally sarcastic remark. That's how they're taking things out of context. Oh, if I'm taking things out of context, you think LIEnette has taken anything out of context? Anything at all? Such as, oh, I'll point cannons to protect my property, which I legally can. That's legal. You think she would know this from the very beginning, talking about whether you can trespass or not in a legal public building. But nope. Lawyer LIEnette. That's her new name. Lawyer LIEnette. If you're caught in a lie, call Lawyer LIEnette. 1-800-LIARS Pants on Fires. Okay. So now they're taking things out of context, using them to make them look like it's really me. I mean, we can't. How can we take anything out of context when we're actually reading what exactly it is? How can we make something look like it's really her when it really is her? We don't need to make it look like it's her. It is her. There's no one else it could be. I don't have to make this message look like it's from her. It's her. Just like everything else we've shared. They're making it look like it's really me, saying it in a way that is meant. So now we're not taking it out of context, saying it in a way that is meant, right over my finger. So apparently we're not taking anything out of context anymore. I have not said that in real form or really meaning it. It was completely sarcastic. But look what they're doing now. Telling the truth? I mean, there are a lot of individuals that should try that sometime. If you don't want to find yourself in a situation like this, if you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're messaging moles, I would strongly, strongly, strongly suggest don't ever, ever stalk anybody. Don't ever beg for money, and then when you don't get it, try to extort them and put 9 double-sided signs all over a town, calling them something that they're not. That's illegal. I've covered this so many times before, and I still can't comprehend how there can be so many people out there so stupid. Yeah, you're stupid if you sit there and you go, I can't believe Jeremy can say whatever he wants, but you can't say whatever you want, whether it be LIEnette or Crook or anybody else on the internet. Anybody can say whatever they want. If it's legally protected under constitutional freedom of speech, then there's no problem. I could care less what anybody out there thinks about me. Your opinion and what you say about me means very little in my life. It means nothing. Only the people I love and care about means something to me. Now, when you cross that boundary and you start saying that they're a child rapist, if you cross that boundary and say, Jeremy did this when he didn't, that's a downright lie, and it's illegal. It is character defamation. That's the difference. I have proof when I say things. It's real. It's true. Other people just say things to say things. That's illegal. Why does that have to continue to be explained to people? I don't get it, but hey, you know what? Maybe I was never meant to. And then the mole goes on to say, yikes. Yeah, everyone has some skeletons. It's just scary. Boy, if we could get all the skeletons of these individuals, I think we would dig up more than we ever intended to. Oh my goodness. I've got some skeletons that are about to come forward, like the manager at Public Storage in Akron. We've got some other you know what? Let's just keep going. Thank you, the mole says. We don't get the full story on your end. And then she says, eclipse is starting. Be careful on your eyes. The mole says they have this all over the pages right now on Facebook. You better get yourself a lawyer ASAP, sweetheart. I bet LIEnette's never been called sweetheart before. And then the mole says they're going crazy because you haven't posted anything in a while. So they have nothing to talk about. Now, she's referencing me, obviously, and George. And don't worry, there's so much more to talk about. We don't want this. Nobody in their life should ever want something like this. But we're not going to tolerate it. And we're going to show the example to everybody if they ever do this into our lives or anybody else's lives again. And so she goes, keep the good work. I'm going back to sleep. I'll let you know when I find new stuff. Now keep in mind, the mole is playing the role of the mole by sending screenshots of literally everything, such as here is the fundraiser for saving the child, and all the tens of thousands of dollars that were raised. And again, I know you want to know where that's at right now. That's not something I'm going to be sharing publicly until it's all over. And then she goes on to say, they're using your own text messages against you. LIEnette says, there's nothing funny about this. My daughter is a rug addict. Weird. I'm still trying to comprehend how LIEnette has claimed there has never been any rug addicts on her property, even though we have proof through her own confession through text that her daughter was on her property living in the shed, even though George and I met her daughter on the property living on the shed. But then LIEnette's going in court and saying, no, there's never been any rug addicts on my property. This is going to be really awkward in court for LIEnette. Oh, this is minor awkwardness for her. And then she goes on to say, her brain is fried. She thinks crazy thoughts. Who does that sound like? Come on, poop in a survey hole, and then when the cops come out, no poop is ever found, and she doesn't even know where the survey hole is? Oh, Crazy. Her daughter is a rug addict. She thinks crazy, crazy thoughts. But I'm going to call the sheriff and I'm going to say, somebody's putting fecal matter in my survey stake holes. And when they come out, I don't know where my survey stake holes are. And then when they're actually digging, they find the poles and they find no fecal matter. They find rotten food that they are dumping on somebody else's property illegally because they've been caught dumping on Dead Dog Road. And she goes on to say, she can text me for 5 hours straight. Anybody want to say ironic? I wonder if her daughter's text messages are as insane as LIEnette's. Now, we've already looked at some of those, and the reality is LIEnette's are so much worse. But she goes on, she says, my daughter can text me for 5 hours straight with the most abusive, nastiest, horrible things that are in her head that never happened. I think most of us know now that LIEnette and Crook are daily trying to blare music on North Otter Creek Avenue. As a matter of fact, LIEnette yet again this morning couldn't figure out how to get the actual music on. And why are they doing it? So Crook had to come out shirtless, which is one of the most disgusting things I think I've ever seen in my life, and had to teach her yet again how to get the music going. Okay. And LIEnette is shoeless. I mean, that's really good with all that filth there, right? Remember, nails, glass, fecal matter. Why are they doing it? Are they doing it to hurt YouTube videos? Well, I've already shared with you previously that there's no way what they're doing could ever hurt YouTube videos. So that's not going to happen. I think the reality of it is the YouTube videos are picking up all of their hurtful, abusive communication. When LIEnette goes on to say that she can text her for 5 hours with the most nasty, abusive, hurtful things, the residents of Otter Creek are hearing for well more than 5 hours the most abusive, obnoxious, vile, hurtful things coming out of Crook and LIEnette's mouth. As a matter of fact, it leaves you wondering, how in the world is Lloyd still there? Is he deaf? He's a first-hand witness to all of this now. And somehow, some way, he's still there. And they're using him and abusing him for money. That's the second camper on the property. All right. What else does she have to say? It's in her head. There's blood in the basement. You don't even understand. And, oh my goodness. You don't even understand. And she was at me for hours and hours until I finally went off on her. Oh, okay, so LIEnette now admits that she goes off on people. Right there. Until I finally went off on her. Seems to me that LIEnette's actually admitting that she's unstable. So she was on me for hours and hours. She was at me for hours and hours until I finally went off on her. You don't get it. You don't understand, Mole. Nothing funny about it. And if you find anything funny in any of this, there's something greatly wrong with you. You do not see what they're doing. This is harassment. This is cyber stalking. This is cyberbullying. Nope. Nope. This is debunking with What the Hales, the citizen journalist of Otter Creek, telling the truth on a daily basis and keeping somebody accountable for the first time in their life, not letting them get away with what they have done to me, to George, to my employees, to other visitors, to family, to friends, and to everybody else in Otter Creek. That's what this is. This is nothing to do with harassment or cyberbullying. By the Hills. And by the way, my last name is Hales, not Hills. Hills is a department store that went out of business. What the Hales continues to expand and grow. You know that thing that you keep saying People keep saying, karma's gonna get me. Karma's gonna get me. Well, karma keeps getting me. The mole gives LIEnette some really good advice right here. She says, we have no control over what God has planned. Just keep praying. God will lead you in the right direction. Odd that LIEnette claims she's a minister and she still has yet to choose to do the right thing and go the right direction. As a matter of fact, she continues to lie pathologically, habitually. And then LIEnette goes to say, my child is far from endangered. Okay. Oh my G again. Yep. That's your ordained minister there. The cops, capitalized, C-O-P-S, CPS, her medical staff are on my side. 17 visits. Last I heard, it's up to 21 now. Of course, she blames them all on me when her own children, when the biological family are all these individuals called CPS before I ever made one call. Yep, I made a call. I'm very concerned for that child, and I have every legal right to make that call out of my concern for the health and the safety of that child. My concern is still exists. Have they done anything? Nope. But 17 visits so far, but we know now if it's true, because these fools keep posting more information, it's up to 21 visits from CPS. You think they would have removed her. Yeah, I agree. We all think they would have had to have, except the director of investigations for CPS is married to one of the council members that is on Levy County commissioners. And there's a connection there with Russell. And our legal team is still putting it all together behind the scenes. We have done vast, expansive research and public records request. And so we have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of records that we are working through right now. Deanna, George, myself, my legal team, and putting all the pieces together of all this corruption and insanity. And so she goes on to say, she's a happy child. I'm going back to bed. I'm only up because of an emergency with a grandchild in Iowa. Really? An emergency with a grandchild in Iowa. That's why she's up. Okay. She's in Florida. That's south. Iowa is north. Why is she up with an emergency with a grandchild? I don't get it. This is the same family that wants nothing to do with her, so I seriously doubt any of that is true at all. And then, this is the funniest part right down here. Michelle Sr. changes the chat theme to Bloom. Oh yeah, with little chickies and flowers and bumblebees. Yep. I'm going to bed, but before I do, I'm going to change the theme to bumblebees and butterflies. The insanity. Oh, by the way, she never did go to bed. Oh, there's more. There's way more. Never went to bed. And the mole goes, "Aw, that's cute for spring. That's cute. That's so cute for spring." And then LIEnette goes, "It will be. My children either give their children up." Here you go. LIEnette yet again. "It will be. My children either gave their children up or are drunks, and their kids suffer from it." Oh, that's interesting, because LIEnette continues to tell anybody who meets her that Crook is a runk. So is this child that is on that property, is she suffering from it? And if she's so concerned about her own children's children, which, by the way, what we're seeing here is the symptoms of Munchausen by proxy. She's trying to take her own children's children, okay? So she's done it in the past. We've already heard testimony from all of the children that she's done it in the past. We've got all of the proof. And yet, why isn't LIEnette saying anything about Crook being a runk around this child on the property? Why isn't LIEnette concerned about this child on the property around Crook, who's a runk and mixing pills, which we have the text messages of her telling people he's doing this? Where's that in here? Do you see it anywhere? No, 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 I'm not seeing it either, to be honest with you. I see nothing there. So the mole goes on to say, it's a hard situation. Go back to bed. By the way, it's 6:09 a.m. right now. Go back to bed and hope that everything will be a bit more cheerful when you wake. And she goes, LIEnette, it's never going to be more cheerful until all of this is resolved and over. Let's answer the question. Who created this? We all know it was LIEnette. Stalking, wanting money, grifting, begging. She didn't get what she wanted. And now she's getting more than she ever bargained for.